right. The NFL season is here, and episode 101 is going to be focused entirely on that. You clicked on this video or you started this podcast on Spotify. I guess I should mention I am on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. I don't believe I'm on Amazon, but also I don't believe I know anyone who uses Amazon to listen to podcasts, so I think it's not a big deal. But anyways, this is episode 101. Episode 100 was a good time, so very random work from me. It was not anywhere near a focused episode, but I very much enjoyed doing it. Just kind of a fun, me kind of doing really whatever I felt like talking about, and so that's what that episode was. Whereas this episode's going to be a lot more focused, just talking about NFL. Maybe I'll touch on college football because I'm recording this on Thursday the 29th, and Colorado plays tonight. So it's going to be big. Little concerned about the fact we scheduled one of the best FCS schools for the first week. It just bodes poorly, you know? It's like we have everything to lose and they have nothing to lose. That's never a good matchup when it comes to football or really any sport. I feel like especially football. And a little concerned. Not going to lie to any of you. I am a little concerned for tonight's game, but we'll touch on that maybe at the end. As far as this podcast goes, right now, we are going to kick it over to a segment. I had my buddy RJ come on, and we each gave 3 hot takes for this year's NFL season. So we each got 3 hot takes and react to each other's. I don't know what he's going to say. So I do know one of his because we were discussing. And he was like, oh, you have this one? And I was like, no, but don't tell me anymore. So I do only know one of them, but I'll try to give as genuine of a reaction as I possibly can. So we're going to kick it over to that, and then after that, we'll go into all of my predictions for the entire season, including my Super Bowl pick, my awards picks, and my record predictions for every team. So right now, we're going to kick it over to me and my buddy Ronald. All right, RJ, great having you on. It's been a little minute. Last time was, baseball predictions?
Yeah, I mean, at least 6 months ago.
It was almost about a year ago. I think we're near.
Oh, yeah, my God, yeah, it was. I was thinking end of the year.
Yeah, no. We did baseball predictions. You didn't come on. That's we'll have to do that in the spring. You didn't come on last year for my season predictions. Well, maybe we'll do hot takes again for MLB.
I do. That would be fun. MLB hot takes would be fun.
MLB hot takes. Maybe I'll even bring you on NBA hot takes. You warned me you're a little nervous about your football hot takes.
Yeah, football is definitely the sport out of the big 3 that I am the least knowledgeable in. So other 2 I'm more excited for, but I mean, I think we'll do okay.
You're more excited for the NBA season this year than you are the NFL?
No, I like prediction, like talking about it. I think. Okay. No, definitely more excited for NFL, but yeah, in terms of knowledge, NBA and MLB I'm much better for.
I get it. I also feel like, would you say when the season comes around, you're the most excited for NFL?
Oh, 100%. I mean, NFL is the best one to watch on TV, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But
baseball's the best to be at.
Yeah. In terms of postseason, though, I think MLB might take the cake for me on that one.
Really?
Or at least live in person MLB, that atmosphere, postseason, October, that might be my favorite thing in sports, besides maybe March Madness. But
you been to a playoff game, the MLB?
Yeah, a couple Guardians ones, and that's it.
Damn, I've never been to a playoff game for anything.
Really?
Well, I mean, my sister went to the Final Four one time for softball. That's about.
Should definitely go to an MLB game in the playoffs. The atmosphere is way different, and it's way more exciting.
I guess I went to a couple state. Genevieve also went to a state tournament. I guess I should say that. But no, I've never been to a professional playoff game.
Right. I can't remember if this is wild card or end of regular. I think it was wild card when Lindor hit that grand slam against the Yankees that hit the foul pole. It was like Lindor the swing and a drive, that one. I was at that one, and that was probably the most exciting moment I've ever had in a stadium. So me and my dad were at that one because it was like he hit the ball, whole stadium went silent, and then you heard it hit the foul pole, and everyone just went crazy. So that was pretty cool. I don't know if it was postseason or wild card or end of the year, though. But that was pretty cool.
No, I definitely think like the live atmosphere is pretty big. Because the thing is with football, is it's definitely built to be watched on television. There's natural breaks. There's natural times you can put up stats and ads. Whereas when you're there in person, there's just a lot of downtime. You're standing there.
Yeah, like they're huddling for like a minute and a half, and you're just standing there watching. So it's definitely built for TV, for football.
Yeah, baseball's not built for TV at all. I mean, there's not really a natural commercial break. The inning change is not long enough time for like a normal commercial break. I don't know. It's interesting to me.
And you can watch them warm up too in baseball. You can watch them warm in between innings. They have like they're shooting they're shooting guns with shirts in them at you. So I mean, there's stuff to do in between in baseball games. Go get a hot dog. Football, you're kind of just standing there watching the players. stand there. So
Yeah, baseball to me, it's like it was built for radio. Football was definitely built for television. I don't really know. Basketball is just it's like a weird in between. I mean,
yeah,
basketball radio is fine, but no one's like, oh man, you know what I mean?
right. Yeah, I get that.
As somebody who's called basketball on the radio, kind of tough.
Yeah,
It's a little odd.
I guarantee. I bet.
All right, so RJ, we each got 3 hot takes prepared here.
Oh yeah.
So very excited to hear what you have to say. I do only know one of them, but I'll still try to give a genuine reaction.
All right.
Do you want me to go first, or do you want to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't. All right, my first one is this. I think this is the one that you know. It might be. I don't know. I have the New Orleans Saints winning their division, NFC South.
Yes, this is the one I know, and I'm
yeah.
very surprised. You're probably like one of the 5 people in America.
I know. Hot take though. That's what we're doing here.
That is an incredibly hot take. You want to tell me?
Yeah, let me break it down a little bit, best of my ability. Defense is going to be elite. I'll put money on that.
Really?
I think they're going to have a good defense. Yeah,
Okay.
like top 5 defense for sure.
Why is that?
Well, I watched a few videos on it.
Okay.
My boy Theo Ash. He said
I know
that.
you love Theo Ash.
They have like a very veteran defense, and they have a couple young corners that I like because he said that. And their offense also is, I think, not as terrible as people say. The O-line's not great, but I think people are forgetting how good Alvin Kamara is. I think he's still very good. Chris Olave, he's still one of the better receivers in football. Michael Thomas, when's he coming back? Do we know? What's the word with him?
I was just checking that for you. So,
but I have
I think they dropped him off the roster. Actually,
Whoa,
he's gone.
is he not on a team at all?
No, he's apparently been contacted by Pittsburgh.
Whoa.
Do you want me to try to look up the Saints receiving core for you?
Sure, I wouldn't mind the Browns getting Michael Thomas. Dude, I was the biggest Michael Thomas fan in 2019. I had him on my fantasy team. I thought he was freaking amazing. And he was, but not anymore. Injuries.
Here is this wide receiver core. Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, A.T. Perry.
Okay.
Not the strongest, but I will say Kamara and Chris Olave make an interesting argument. I mean, that's
Derek Carr, he's mid at best, but
yeah.
I think their defense is going to be good. And maybe I think even the biggest factor for why I think they're going to win their division is that division sucks balls, man.
You don't think the Falcons are going to be good if Kirk Cousins?
I think they're going to be decent. I think they're going to get second after the Saints. And then I have
Bucks?
I have Bucks getting 4th. I'm going to get Panthers at 3rd.
I'll take it.
Yeah. But I think Atlanta's getting a little overhyped right now. I think their defense is not going to be good. I think Tampa's going to fall off. I don't think Baker's going to have the same season that he did. And I think in that weak division, if their defense plays well enough and their offense is okay, they could sneak out 10-win season in that division. I think that things are going to go their way. They're going to win some close games. The defense is going to be good. Offense is going to be mediocre, and they're going to win that division.
Interesting.
That's a hot take.
That is a very hot
Yeah,
take.
but you know what? It's going to happen. You just watch.
All right, Ronald. All right.
Your turn.
Okay. So this is the one that you know that I have. And that is that I believe the Chargers will have a better regular season record than the Kansas City Chiefs, thus winning the AFC West.
Oh, I don't agree. Wait, explain why.
So Jim Harbaugh, everywhere he's went, he's won.
Mm-hmm.
Early on with the Niners, there is never a warm-up season with him. Mm-hmm. He immediately goes right into it. He went to the Super Bowl, was that his 2nd year with the Niners?
Yeah, something like that. I don't know.
Very early on. And Michigan did struggle a little bit out the gate, but he was trying to win from the jump.
Yeah.
He had a couple struggling seasons in the middle, and then at the end he wrapped it up. Everywhere he's went, they were talking about this in the Bill Simmons podcast. That was an excellent point. There's been like a big boss, right? When he went to the Niners, at the time it was like, oh my goodness, you got this Seahawks team with Russell Wilson that was on the come up, and
Elite
the Cardinals at that time had Carson Palmer still, and Larry Fitzgerald. They had just gotten done losing in the Super Bowl a couple years prior, so there was 2 good teams there. He came into the Niners and won that division.
Right.
Then he goes to Michigan. Ohio State's the guys running things. He eventually builds a program that can defeat them and wins the national championship, which Ohio State hasn't done since 2013.
Okay.
So I think it's quite impressive how he chose to go to a team that features the Kansas City Chiefs in the same division. To me, if I know Jim Harbaugh, I know his number one goal this offseason has been figuring out how to beat them twice in the regular season and make sure they win that division. Now, I have them facing off against each other in the playoffs, and I have the Chiefs beating them. But I think Harbaugh's number one goal in going to the Chargers is to take on the Chiefs head on, and he always seems to find a way to excel at that. And people are acting like they're going to run the football like it's 1952. Harbaugh does love to run the football, but he also has Justin Herbert, and you and I are both big Herbert backers, and I think he's going to take full advantage of Herbert. And I will admit, if Herbert isn't great this season, I'm going to have to admit he's not the tier I believe he's in. But I think this is the season Herbert. We've been waiting for Justin Herbert, and I think Harbaugh's going to take advantage of that, and they're going to surprise people.
So how many wins do you have each of those teams getting?
So the Chiefs went 11-6 last year. Okay. I have them with the same record.
Okay, so you have the Chargers.
That's
12
realistic.
Wins.
12 wins.
Wow.
I think that's genuinely realistic. I will say I do have a lot of faith in Joshua Palmer and Ladd McConkey. Mm-hmm. Still wish I would have drafted McConkey last night in our fantasy draft, so I could name my team McConkey Tonk Badonkadonk. But
how old is Joshua Palmer?
I will look that up right now because I have him on fantasy, so I just go to his experience.
I guess my counter to that would be, as good of a coach as the good brother might be, at some point you need to have a more talented team than that to take down the Chiefs. I think we both love Herbert, and apparently Ladd McConkey's pretty good, but the O-line and defense are not great, even though they might be improving with Joe Alt in the offensive line. And there is talent on that defense, but I don't think there's enough to win the division over the Chiefs. And yeah, we both do love Herbert, and I would pray that they beat the Chiefs and that Herbert has a good year. Just don't see it happening. I mean, they're going to run the ball a lot. I mean, they're going to have Herbert throw, but they're going to run the ball a decent amount too. But it's probably going to be high volume, low, success rate. Like it's not going to. I don't think they're going to be a great running team, even though they're going to be doing it a lot. So I think I could see them easily getting 8-9 wins, maybe even 10, but 12 wins I think is a little bit too high. They don't have quite enough talent to do that, and the offensive line and defense are not as strong as they need to be to beat the Chiefs. The Chiefs are still too good, I think, for the Chargers to beat them with this team.
Joshua Palmer is 24, entering his 4th season.
Did not know he was that young. Would have pegged him at 27, I think.
Yeah, so Josh Palmer, I mean, underrated. He almost had 1,000 yards last year.
You know what? He is underrated. Okay.
And I snagged him on our fantasy draft last night late because I was like, this guy could.
Right.
He might be wide receiver 1.
He might be. And you know what? I'm excited to see how Ladd McConkey plays too, because I don't know a ton about him, but he's a wide receiver, so interesting. We'll see how that goes.
All right, RJ, what's your second hot take?
Okay. I'm going to stick with the same theme here of the AFC West, and the Raiders are going to be a playoff team and get 9 to 10 wins.
Okay.
And so I don't have them beating the Chiefs, but I have them getting second in the division.
Really?
And I think here's why. Denver's going to be bad, so we can roll them out. And it's going to be, I think we can both agree, either the Raiders or the Chargers is going to be a 9, 10, 12 win team. And I chose the Raiders, I think they have a overall better roster. They have a defense that was great, was like good to great last year because Max Crosby's that guy. And they were I think they had the number 7 defense in football last year. So, I mean, pretty good defense. And on offense, they got weapons. I mean, their 2 tight ends, Brock Bowers and Michael Mayer, are both going to be really, really good. Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, that's a great receiving duo. And Zamir White, I think, is going to be a dog this year. And Gardner Minshew he's not a slouch. I mean, I think he could easily be a decent quarterback. And with the rest of this team being as good as it is, O-line's mid, but outside of that, they have a pretty solid team. And I think they could easily get 9-10 wins and be a wild card team, I think. And maybe even flirt with the Chiefs for the division. Don't think so, but easily I think they could be a wild card team.
Well, I will admit, 2 years ago, when they went to the playoffs as a wild card team off that last game of the regular season, they had the winning field goal against the Chargers to propel them. I never saw that come. That was 3 years ago, actually. That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
That was 3 years, man. I never saw that coming. So I will say that in your defense, the Raiders do somehow always seem to be better than I expect. I think the thing for me with them is while I really like their team, I'm not the biggest Gardner Minshew guy. I think he's pretty good. I think you could win 8 games with him this year. But to me, with the Chargers and Chiefs, I think there's a decent chance they go 0-4 just from those 4 games alone.
Okay.
And when I'm high on the Chargers, the Raiders got to take some more losses. And my other thing is, I honestly think it's more interesting for them as an organization to be bad this year and to go out and get Quinn Ewers or Shador Sanders.
I agree.
And pair that with Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, and this team you're talking about. Because then next year, I think it'd be a very interesting team. And I'm honestly let's say they come out the gate and they're 3-4,
3-5, whatever.
yeah, something like that, right? I wouldn't be surprised if you see maybe they're starting to think, maybe we shouldn't get 8 wins this year. Does that make sense? I'm not saying
I totally agree.
I'm not saying flat out tank job, but I think maybe the ownership and the organization would kind of go, you know what? Is it worth maybe making the playoffs and losing in the first round, or do we want to shift and try to get one of these quarterbacks in college? And I honestly would be surprised if the team doesn't do that. So
I totally agree, and if I were a Raiders fan, I would prefer that, because I'm always in favor of getting the franchise guy over anything else, so I would totally prefer that. But I could also very easily see them getting 9-10 wins and competing with the Chiefs for that division. But I'm the same way. So, I mean, I agree with what you think they should do, but...
You're saying that's not what's going to happen?
Yeah, that's my hot take.
All right.
All right.
Okay, so...
What do you got?
Keeping to the West Coast, I got a hot take about the other team in LA, and that's the LA Rams. My hot take is that they will be a Super Bowl contender, winning 12 games and the AFC West.
That is a hot take.
So my thing is, I've been a bit of a Sean McVay doubter over the years. Thought he was a little overrated. Last year, I think he completely proved me wrong. He had quietly one of the best drafts of last year. This year, the big loss is Aaron Donald. They're not going to be able to replace him. Like one of the greatest defensive players ever. They're just not. But I do really like what they did in the draft, getting Jared Verse in the first round. Thought that was a really nice pick. They got Blake Corum in the, I think, second round, which I think could also be interesting, because the thing is with Sean McVay is when you're in that system, you put up big numbers. And I think Blake Corum could be an interesting guy about halfway through the season. Maybe Kyron Williams slows down. They start using Blake Corum. Sean McVay will take advantage of that talent. Big thing is with me, they performed quite well last year, better than I think a lot of people expected, and made the playoffs. And a lot of people I knew were taking them to beat the Lions, a team that I was very high on. And I think, did you take them over the Lions too?
I don't recall.
A lot of you guys, Braden I know did.
Yeah.
Our buddy Braden did, and a lot of people I know were like, "Oh, Ryan, that Lion team's good, but Sean McVay's gonna outcoach him." And the Lions ended up beating them. But the thing is, that Rams team was very good. I think they'll be better this year with Stafford healthy for the full year. Cooper Kupp coming back. Cooper Kupp, we could see return to his dominance. And along with Puka Nacua, that's a really, like, one of the best receiving duos in the NFL. So, to me, I just think the Niners I don't expect to be as good as they were last year. I think they take a slight step back just because it's hard to be as good as they were last year. And the Cardinals are coming up, so realistically, you're picking one of those three to win the division. I went with the Rams because I think they have the best coach, and I also believe, I actually think Shanahan's a better coach than McVay. I take that back. But I like what the Rams roster looks like, and on top of that, I just think we could see a big year from Stafford and Kupp. I think they could return to that 2021 form.
Yeah, they went 10-7. That is...
Nobody expected them to go 10-7 last year. So
But,
2 more wins I don't think is crazy when I think the team got better. The only loss is Aaron Donald, which is a massive loss, don't get me wrong, but I think everything else in this team improved.
Yeah, I like the Rams team. I mean, Kobe Turner on that defensive line, there's a little hope for them post Aaron Donald here for the Rams on that defensive line. I think the offense, how good is their O-line?
It's fine, I think, but when they lost Whitworth years ago, that was kind of big.
Yeah, maybe the O-line's just average, but they got a lot of weapons there. Like, Stafford's no slouch. The receivers are great. The running backs are great. If the defense can hold up, I don't mind that take. 12 wins might be a tad aggressive, but I don't mind that take at all. The cornerbacks I worry about them a little bit. I don't mind their front seven at all. I think I'm with you on the Rams are going to be solid. I'm not with you on the 12 wins. I think that's where you kind of lose me. But
you think the Niners win that division?
Yeah, I do. I think it would be hard for the Rams to beat them. I think some injuries would have to come to San Fran for that to happen.
I think the Niners are just going to get naturally taken out, which I'm saying I think Ayuk things don't improve. I think McCaffrey most likely
gets injured.
I'm just being honest. I don't want to wish injury on the guy, but like I just feels like what's going to happen. He's also on the cover of Madden. Never a good sign. Like why would who did that? Why would you do that? I think Brock's going to continue to be good. I'm a big Brock guy, but Ayuk is quietly elite for them, No one's really like, man, I'm a big Brandon Ayuk guy, but he's really good for them.
Right.
And if he's not feeling it and he's not performing, I think that's a huge loss for them. And I just don't want to bet on McCaffrey being fully healthy again because I don't know that. So to me, that's why I don't think the Niners are going to have 12 wins. I put them at 11 wins. So, I mean, that's one less, but I don't think they'll be as good. And to me, that's where the Rams sneak out 2 more.
Yeah, I think I could easily see the Rams getting to 10 wins. I think it'd be hard, but they can do it again. I think 8 out of 10 times the 49ers win this division. But, I mean, you never know. If things go correctly for the Rams and incorrectly for San Fran, then I think the Rams could. But I'm gonna disagree, but it's not a terrible take. I've heard worse hot takes, so.
All right,
I'll go to my third, and this is probably maybe my hottest one yet.
Okay.
The Bengals are going to win the AFC North, and Burrow's going to be an MVP candidate, or he wins the MVP. And I wanted to save my hottest take for last, and I think my reasoning is because it's unlikely that they do it, if that makes...
What makes you think it's unlikely?
Because I think they're probably, roster-wise, 3rd or 4th in the AFC, but I think Burrow's going to be... And I think he's going to be awesome. I think things are going to straighten out with Jamar Chase, and hopefully it does. I have him in my fantasy team, and I think him, Burrow, and T. Higgins could actually put up a pretty good offense. I think the defense could hold its own and be 10 to 15 on if they have a good year, and be decent. Mm-hmm. And I just think everybody's counting them out. And as a Browns fan, I worry about Cincy a little bit. I worry about every team in this division every year because it's probably the best division in football. And I think they're going to surprise some people. Are going to win some close games. And I think Burrow's going to play at an MVP level. And they're going to sneak out 12 wins to 13 wins. And I think the Browns and Ravens might regress a little. I think the Ravens especially. I don't love their defense as much as last year. Mm-hmm. I don't like their O-line as much as last year. I don't like their receivers. I think Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman, it's a very mid-receiving core. Mm-hmm. And I think they're going to regress a little. I think they had 13, something like
13
wins last year. I could see them going down to 10, 11. Mm-hmm. And I could see every team having in that AFC North like 9 to 11 wins, and the Bengals maybe getting 12, and just kind of squeaking it out. So it's a hot take, but kind of a gut feeling too there that they might just win some close games and stay at the top of that stacked division by a little bit.
See, I don't really think this is that crazy, RJ. Like,
okay.
To me, I honestly debated having them win the division. I had them at 11-6, and the Ravens at 12-5. I just didn't want to bet on Lamar getting hurt. To me, it's really not that crazy. I thought the Bengals would win the Super Bowl last year. I had them over Lions as my Super Bowl. You told me I was crazy for believing in the Lions that early. I was honestly about right. I mean, close. I think this Bengals team is very good. I think T. Higgins is still underrated, even though he's very good.
Right.
I do think if he eventually leaves, he'll be a number 1 somewhere, and we'll be like, wow, this guy was the number 2 in Cincy? And it's like, yeah, this guy's good.
Yeah.
I mean, the defense is the big thing. Offensively, though, I mean, they're up there with the best in my opinion. I think in the AFC, really the big thing is you look at the AFC, right now it's Chiefs, and then if you want to be cute, you say the Texans. So the Bengals are kind of like the odd man out, I'd say, because the Bills are kind of falling away. No one's really sure what to think of yet because of Stephon.
Jets could
be interesting. Ravens, no one really wants to take. Right now, it's really I guarantee 90% of Super Bowl picks, the AFC is Texans or Chiefs. Like,
yeah,
realistically,
I'd agree.
And I think the Bengals, to me, should be that 3rd pick because I think it's a really good team. I would love for them to win the Super Bowl. I think Joe was like great. And I think this team's more popular nationally than we realize because you see a lot of posts about the Bengals. And because we live in Ohio, we just think, oh, yeah, it's Bengals. But I think they're a lot more popular nationally just because of that Super Bowl run. I think you and I even realize. And I would love for them to win the Super Bowl. And I would love for Joe to get an MVP. That would be great. So, I mean, I'm here for it is what I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, I think some of it for me is that I'm just kind of hearing Burrow and the Bengals get swept under the rug a little bit and kind of maybe not talked about quite enough. So, I mean, I'd like to kind of flip it on its head and talk about them a little bit more and have a little bit of faith in them because I think they're going to have to bounce back here from last year. And I think they were playing well. I mean, Burrow was playing pretty well Before he went out.
Before he went out. I literally, the last episode of this podcast before he went out was titled "The Bengals Are So Back," and then he got hurt that week.
Yeah, if you told me Burrow was going to come out and have an MVP caliber year or win the damn thing, I would be like, all right, and win the division. So
I mean, there was a good couple years there where he was considered the second best quarterback in the league, and Lamar kind of took that after winning his second MVP. But if Burrow could win the MVP this year, yeah, I mean, Josh was in the conversation. To me, I always had Burrow. I always had Burrow too.
Okay, I've had Josh Allen too.
I was always big on Burrow. Still am.
Okay.
I would say for me, I'd put Burrow third. I feel like you got to put Lamar second for now. But I think
you have Allen at 4 right now.
No, I got CJ at 4, buddy.
Where do you have Allen?
5.
What?
Yeah, maybe I'm a hater.
He's my number 2.
He's really good.
I think he's.
This was the most interesting thing for Josh Allen. This is like the most interesting Josh Allen year ever because if they make the playoffs, he should win MVP. Because this is the worst Bills team he's had since
agree.
like his rookie year.
Right.
And so like if they're good, he gets complete flowers. He's the second best, period. But I need to see it from him. This is the Josh Allen prove it to me year.
I love Lamar, but you think he's better than Allen?
He's my favorite quarterback.
I thought last year you didn't like him.
No, I like Lamar.
You had Brock Purdy better.
I did say Brock Purdy was better than Lamar. That was a crazy statement.
I mean, I'm fully on board.
I've retracted that.
Okay, that Mahomes is 1.
Okay.
And it's weird. I think I was thinking about this today. Is Mahomes on a tier of his own?
Yes.
Okay, so Mahomes on a tier of his own. The
Then
next tier is Allen,
Burrow,
Lamar,
and then I would put CJ there. I think he's that good.
I think I got to see this here first. I think he will be.
I think him and Herbert are a we see this year for that tier.
I would have. I think.
And Jordan Love. I'd say
I have Herbert, Love, and Burrow, and
I would say Jordan Love, CJ Stroud, and Herbert. If they play well this year, could be in that tier right below Mahomes.
A tier below him?
Yes, Hurts would be tier 3. If tier 1 is Mahomes, tier 2 is Josh Allen, Burrow, and Lamar with opportunity for CJ, Herbert, and Love. And then the tier below that would be like Jalen Hurts, Matthew Stafford, those guys.
Maybe like Goff or
Jared Goff, Brock Purdy, those all guys. Where it's like, you're really good. You could maybe even win an MVP. But I'm not taking you over Josh Allen.
Yeah, I agree. And I could see Hurts moving up a tier at the end of this year, depending on how their season goes.
Kyler Murray would be in that tier for me, too.
Yeah. Hurts is a weird one. He's a player I could easily see people having conversations with, being on that level of, like, maybe even a Burrow, depending on like how Philly plays.
Yeah.
But then also being like, all right, this guy's not even with the Goffs of the world. So I think he's got a lot of flexibility.
I think a lot of things that goes on in Philly for me is just the coaching staff. I'm not a Sirianni fan.
Yeah,
I
agree.
I think Jalen Hurts maybe could be in that tier, but I think he needs better coaching staff.
Right.
That's kind of where I'm at with it.
Yeah.
I would put Tua a tier below all those guys for what it's worth.
I would too.
Kind of become a Tua hater.
I'd put Tua.
You've changed me.
I'd put Tua with who's
like Baker.
Yeah, a Baker. Right. I agree with that. Tua, Baker, maybe Bryce Young, depending on how he plays this year.
Dude, I would love for that.
Yeah, I think we're both, or at least I like Bryce Young this year. But
well, that brings me to my hottest take.
All right, here we go.
Which is the Panthers will turn it around and win the division.
Okay. Not with that. Explain why. Outside of you being a Panthers fan.
I mean, at some point I just gotta, I gotta have a little bit of hope, right? Well, let me figure out where to start.
Okay.
I don't put a lot of emphasis on preseason, but he looked great in that preseason game against the Bills, so that was nice.
Yeah.
Dave Canales worked with Geno Smith, worked with Baker Mayfield. They both played quite well with him as an offensive coordinator.
Okay.
And both smaller quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
He could take advantage of Bryce Young. Bryce Young undeniably was elite in college. Like he was so good.
Right.
So good in college. Dude was nuts.
Yep.
I think we can regain that awesomeness with Canales. I think defensively we're not a bad team. I
agree.
Don't understand why we traded our best defensive player in Brian Burns.
I'm not on board with that either, but I think the defense it's average, maybe.
I think it'd be a top 10 defense this year.
Yeah, there's potential
under the correct coaching.
Yeah.
And I think J.C. Horn could be an elite corner if he can stay healthy.
100%.
And Derek Brown is elite. That is like undeniable. One of the best D-line players in the NFL. So we do have good players on the defensive end. Now, as far as offensively, Jonathan Brooks being out when we drafted him second round, not elite, we'll admit. But to me, it comes down to Bryce Young. Can Bryce Young elevate Deontay Johnson? Can he elevate Xavier Legette? can he elevate Thielen, which he did elevate with Thielen last year. If Thielen's the 3 on this team, and Leggett...
You love that.
And Deontay Johnson are 1-2, that's insane, because Thielen and him had a connection. That was like the only good thing for us last year.
When is Brooks playing? Is he like good to go? Or
No, he's out for at least like a week or 2.
Okay.
He got like a preseason.
And what's your O-line and tight end game looking like?
I like to believe we have a good O-line, but we don't. Our O-line is bad.
Right.
Tight end-wise, we have this guy named Tommy Tremble, who I think is good.
Heard of him.
But he's probably not. Offensive line is really the biggest concern for the Panthers, but we did make some move this offseason to try to bolster it, and let's hope it pays off. I really think Canales is the answer. It comes down to the coaching. If he can unlock Bryce Young and the O-line is better than it was in the past, we could be good. I guess my thing is I go back to the 2021 Cincinnati Bengals. In 2020, Joe Burrow was very good for when he was playing. But that Cincinnati O-line, he was getting torn up every single week. Because of that, Joe Burrow got injured, came back the next year, they were incredible. They added Jamar Chase, they were rolling.
Right.
Maybe the Panthers are similar.
Yeah.
Now, granted, Bryce Young was nowhere near as good as Burrow was his rookie year. I understand that. But improved O-line, we could see what happens.
I like the... I'm on the Panthers train of they will be better. I mean, I don't think they're going to win that. I mean, the thing about them is the division is weak. So we both had...
That's my thing, too.
Maybe a sleeper team winning that division.
If the division was better, then
neither of us
would
would have these takes.
I wouldn't I wouldn't even give myself a belief. But it's like the Falcons are good, but I don't know if they're like insane good.
They have flaws. I mean, they're not perfect, and who knows what's going on with them. They're not the most well-run team, but they have talent over there, so we'll see. But I mean,
the big thing with the Panthers is Tepper. That's kind of that's kind of hard.
I don't have them winning the division, but if you told me they were putting up 7-8 wins,
maybe you're saying maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Once again, not winning the division, but second. I can give them second.
Okay.
Potentially, probably not. We'll see.
Well, I like to have faith. Trying to think about who we play week 1.
Yeah, that's why we're doing hot takes, though.
Let me look up this Panthers schedule real quick.
All right.
Let's just see what it's looking like. What's the 2024 Panthers schedule?
Oh, my
first
team.
week the Saints.
Yeah.
Wow.
Let's see.
Okay. So then after that we play the Chargers. Okay. So that'll be intriguing.
And then the Raiders and Bengals. Oh my God.
Goodness, all your hot take teams first, and then one of mine with the Chargers. Then we take the Bears. That'll be fun. Face off against Caleb Williams. That'll be interesting if we lose. Wow, that's a really tough opening 5, in my opinion. Like Saints and Raiders aren't like amazing, but we were talking about how they have some potential.
It's going to be a dogfight of the first 5 games.
Yeah, and then Falcons game 6, but then we play the Commanders and Broncos, Saints, Giants.
It really go 3-1 there, and you're back in it.
Yeah, but then we play the Chiefs, which will be interesting. The Buccaneers we can beat. Cowboys. Wow, this is a rough schedule. Wowzers. This is actually a tough schedule. I'm actually like.
How do you feel about the Cardinals this year?
I think I had them going 10-7. That's what I have.
I like their offense a lot, and I think it could be a top 10 offense. I just think their defense is going to be a bottom 10
That's
defense.
The thing for me is the defense. As I don't really believe in the defense. I think they got to work on that. But I also am not going to deny that I think the offense could be really good.
Yeah, I got Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison, James Conner, Trey McBride. They had another running back that I like. I don't remember his name. They have another
Benson.
Yeah, I like him. I think he's pretty good.
The rookie, yeah.
So I think their offense could be top 10. Just the defense, it's just not going to be good. So, I mean, you can't. I don't have them over 9 wins, to be honest. I have them 9 at most, I think. I think 10 would be hard to get. But, yeah, I mean, I'm excited for the Cardinals' future, I think. I think they're going to be an exciting team. Some shootout games.
They'll be a fun team for me.
Yeah, and I think we both like Kyler Murray, too.
Yeah, I think
and Marvin Harrison,
good.
So
it'll be good. I think it'll be a good team.
It'll be a fun team.
That team could do some interesting things, but I don't think they're there yet.
Yeah.
I think it is a few years out, which I usually am a year or 2 earlier to the party. This time I'm actually going to hold off. Like, I actually do think it'll take a minute for them.
Like, maybe next year they
get some defense.
Yeah, maybe maybe they win the division next year. Who knows?
Yeah, we'll have to see.
But
it'll be intriguing. Yeah. All right, RJ.
All right.
I think that's it.
Thank
you
fun.
for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
It's always good. I'm sure you'll come on again.
Yes. We got to do postseason baseball predictions.
That'll be the next one you come on. All right, that sounds great. Well, thanks for coming on, bud.
Thanks for having me.
All right, thank you, RJ, for coming on. And now let's get into all the predictions for the 2024 NFL season. I just want to say, first of all, I'm so excited for this season. I feel like we've got a really good season brewing. There's something in the air. I feel like the NFL has been extremely hot as of late. I feel like 2019 when 2019 is when I started watching heavy. And it's been a really fun time to become a big NFL guy that watches every week. Because while the Chiefs have been obviously incredibly successful in this period. I mean, since 2019, in the last 5 seasons, right? 5 seasons, they've won 3 of the Super Bowls. But it didn't feel like they were a lock every year. It just didn't. The only year where it's kind of like, I feel like we have to go Chiefs here is like, what, this year? Is this the one? But I think even this year we're kind of like, are we sure? We have to go Chiefs? So, I mean, that's kind of the thing is, like the history books will say, oh, it was so, the Chiefs were so obvious, da-da-da. But they weren't. They weren't the most obvious choice for Super Bowl 57. And they weren't the most obvious choice last year either. People are always trying to talk themselves into other teams, me included, because I'm willing to bet you can all guess I didn't pick the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl this year. So probably could tell that by some of my hot takes. But anyways, I just think the NFL's in a really good place right now. Not exactly a hot take. That's why I said that right here. And I'm really happy with the way it's going, I guess I'm saying. Whereas the NBA, sometimes I'm like, yeah, I think we had some fun storylines last playoffs, but I don't really know if we're really growing the game at the moment. Like today, I was at lunch and a friend of mine was talking about the NBA and he started talking about the Warriors. And I was like, I don't want to hear about the NBA in late August. I do not care. I genuinely could not care less. That's probably not a good sign for the NBA that I just couldn't care less. But I really couldn't right now. I was like, I'm just not really in that mindset, buddy. It's football season now. And so, I mean, don't worry, guys. I'll still give my NBA predictions once mid-October comes. Don't fret if you were concerned. If me giving predictions is something you look forward to, it means a lot for what it's worth, whoever you are. But, yeah, I don't know. The NFL's just got something to it, right? And college football I'm getting a little more into because of having college football 25. Now I know, more players from more teams. And as much as the conference realignment might not be the best thing ever, it is making me a little more intrigued in week-to-week matchups. So then there's that. But it also helps that I actually have a team to follow for college football, and the Colorado's on national television a lot, so that helps out. But let's get into the predictions. And, yeah, I'm very excited. Now, I believe last year we started with the NFC when we did my predictions. I mean, I guess I could check right now, but I almost am like 100% sure. Yeah, we did. And it was funny. I started writing mine this year, and I just started writing with the AFC. It just made me laugh. I was like, oh, well, I didn't mean to do it opposite like that, but I did. So we're going to start with the AFC this year. One last thing I want to say before we go is we're still at 17 games. Why are we not at 18 games? It's weird that you have either one extra away game or one extra home game. I guarantee the guys who run the teams, the owners, the staff members, they dislike that. It's just weird to have, one more than another. It's just a scheduling pain in the ass. Like, I don't understand why we're still at 17 games. So what I would do is exactly what Joe Burrow said. 2 bye weeks, 18 games, and the NFL season would end with the Super Bowl the day before President's Day. That would be perfect. Absolutely perfect. Super Bowl the day before President's Day is elite. Everyone would love that. That's what they should be doing. I think they will go to that eventually. I just don't understand why we're not doing it now. Because we know the goal is 18. 17 was just a step in the right direction. We're definitely going 18. Let's get to 18. I'm sick of this. Anyways. Gosh. All right. Okay. I am ready to roll. And let's start off with the AFC. We're going to start AFC East. You always seem to do the East first, and that's the one I wrote down first. Coming in first place, the AFC East, I have the New York Jets. I have them going 11-6. My thing with the Jets this year is you pretty much, when you're doing your NFL season predictions this year, I feel like the AFC East is one of the hardest to predict because you're either betting on the Jets aren't going to be as good as aren't going to be as good on paper. Aren't going to be as good as they should be on paper. and they're not going to be a Super Bowl contender, and it's not going to work out, and you have them winning, 8, 9, 10-ish games, but not winning the division, right? Or you're saying this is going to be the team that runs the AFC East. I believe this team can win the AFC East. Now, if you remember, last year I was not high on this team. But between the Bills losing Stephon Diggs and the Dolphins, I was really high on the Dolphins beginning of last year. Really was. And then around October, November, I started seeing the cracks in the team, just like everybody else saw the cracks. And so I've kind of come off them. So what I'm saying is I'm not really that high on the Bills, and I'm not really that high on the Fins either. I know Genevieve is not pleased with me, the fact that I'm not high on the Bills, but I told her it's a win-win because if the Bills are better than I expect then she can make extra fun of me, and so it'll be even better for her because then the Bills will be good, and she can give me a hard time, which will make her happy. So that's my out. But yeah, I have the Jets winning this division. My big thing is I genuinely believe Breece Hall is going to be in top 3 running back conversations by the end of this year. I think there were signs of it last year. He reminds me a lot of Nick Chubb, the way he plays. Just like, I don't have any numbers to back that up. I'm just talking about when you eye test it, right? And you guys know I've said before on this podcast, baseball, super stats based. NBA, kind of eye test, kind of stats. Football, for me, it's mostly eye test. That's how I draft a lot of my fantasy teams. I'm like, yeah, I think that guy's good. So I don't try to overthink it too much. So I think Breece Hall is got a chance to be an elite running back here. Garrett Wilson, to me, I'm just going to spoil one of my predictions for later. I think he's going to win Offensive Player of the Year. I think he's going to get the Devontae Adams treatment from Aaron Rodgers, and he's going to have an incredible season. And he's uber competitive. I think he's going to really take advantage of the fact that he now has a good quarterback. And I think I'm not a big Aaron Rodgers guy. We all know this. I've tried to take away 2 MVPs from him. But this is potentially his last run. And if he can be good, I think this team could do some major damage in the AFC East. Let's go over to the Bills. Bills I have going 10-7. 10-7 is not a good enough record to make the wild card this year for the AFC. I think the AFC is very strong. 10-7 will not put the Bills in the playoffs. I'm just warning everybody. My thing with the Bills is if this team wins this division, Josh Allen will win MVP. That is a genuine prediction I could have made. I could have said Bills go 11-6 or Bills go 12-5, and Josh Allen makes it work. Him and James Cook both kill it, and he elevates Keon Coleman, rookie wide receiver. He makes this Bills team absolutely roll between him and James Cook. Josh Allen would deserve MVP wholeheartedly. Really do think that could happen, but I'm not going to bank on that. I'm not. I've got more faith, I guess, in this Jets team that to me looked like a team. First game of the year last year when they beat the Bills off that walk-off kick return touchdown, first game Monday Night Football, that team looked really good with Zach Wilson playing every drive except the first 4 downs where Aaron Rodgers played. That team looked good, and I think they still won 7 or 8 games last year. I'm not sure how I feel on Robert Saleh. This is going to be the year I think everybody figures out how they feel about Robert Saleh. But I guess I have more faith in the Jets and the Bills, which sounds gross. It really does sound gross that I have more faith in the Jets team than the Bills, but that's the way it is. I would love to see Josh Allen go off and win MVP and carry this team, but I'm not going to bank on that. I'm sorry. Coming in third place, I have the Miami Dolphins. They're also going to be 10-7. I think I've said this before, and so if you've been listening to the podcast before and I've said this exact thing, I'm sorry. This team to me just reeks of, in 10 years, there's going to be a TikTok that's like, the best NFL team you forgot about. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Devon Achane, Tua Tagovailoa. That's what this Dolphins team is to me. Head coach Mike McDaniel. And it's like, whoa, all these guys were together. And that team lost in the wild card every year. I think this year they're going to miss the playoffs. I don't see them starting as hot as they did last year. Their schedule isn't as easy as it was last year. So, yeah, just not a lot of faith, I guess, in this Dolphins team. think to me, they've just kind of hit their ceiling where I don't really know what the step is to go from we're a good team that isn't a contender to a contender. I wouldn't even put them as a fringe contender. Like, oh, if the chips fall, they could be in the Super Bowl. No. To me, when I think of the contenders this year, I'm thinking Texans, Chiefs, Niners, as I said in my hot take earlier, the Rams, and then fringe, like we'd have to see how it works out. That's like the Packers, the Ravens, the Bengals. The Dolphins are not in that level. Oh, I said the Jets would also be a fringe, I guess. But like to me, it's like as far as teams you would feel comfortable betting on, not like it'd be a great payout, but I'm just saying you'd be like, I could put $100 on that. That would be to me Texans, Rams, Niners, Chiefs. To me. Oh, and the Lions. What am I doing? Sorry. Gosh, I'm so sorry. Lions would also be in there. That's the 5 to me that are like the contenders. And then the fringe, like the layer below that, would be like something's going to fall their way is Bengals, Ravens, Packers. I don't think there's anybody else. I guess you could say I'm not saying the Eagles. And the Jets. There you go. So 5 and 4. That's what's interesting about the NFL, though. I just named 9 teams that I could realistically see winning the Super Bowl. That's great. Now, granted, maybe I'm crazy, but I feel like, I don't know, things just got to fall a certain way. It would be interesting to see what the Dolphins do if they don't make the playoffs this year. I would be very intrigued to see how they handle that and how they respond and what they do. If they do something crazy, I don't know. It'd be intriguing. Is it Tua? Is it McDaniel? Who knows? Coming in at number 4, last place in the division, I have the Patriots at 5 and 12. They just named Jacoby Brissett their starter. That's fine. I think Drake May is actually going to be good. If you quick sidebar, you want my rookie quarterback rankings, I'm gonna go J.J. McCarthy. Oh, he's not 1. I can't say that. Wow, damn. That'd be really ballsy, and I am actually not gonna do that. I'm not even that wild. And, I mean, he's probably not even gonna play this year. But I was just saying, like, in general. Rookie quarterback rankings. Okay, we're going to exclude JJ, but I'm being serious. If it was JJ, I'd probably put him 2 or 3. Like, I'm not lying. I think JJ's going to be really good. But without JJ there, I'm going to go... Do I go Caleb 1? Fine. Caleb, Drake, Jaden, Daniels, and then Bo Nix. And to me, it's like... I think Jaden Daniels isn't going to be elite in Washington. I would be surprised if he's their franchise quarterback. I think best case scenario, he's like Andy Dalton for them. Where it's like, this is really fun, and some people pick us for the Super Bowl, but let's be real. That's, to me, best case scenario for Jaden Daniels. Caleb and Drake, I legitimately think could be MVP guys. Same thing with JJ when JJ... I don't know if JJ will be an MVP, but I think JJ McCarthy could be like a Super Bowl winning quarterback. To me, JJ is going to be like Brock Purdy, where it's like it's undeniable that he's good, but he's very different. He feels like a system guy. You know what I mean? That's to me JJ McCarthy, and I think JJ McCarthy's going to be really good, but he's not going to be doing Mahomes shit, if that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense. Yeah, that's my... Also, Bo Nix I think will be very bad. I have a guy who claims that I said I was high on Bo Nix. I don't think I ever was high on Bo Nix. Ever. For what it is worth. I just want to clarify. If you've listened to this podcast and you're like, Ryan, you were high on Bo Nix, please comment and tell me which episode, if you can remember. Because I cannot remember being high on Bo Nix. So, just want to state. I guess I could also include Michael Penix and the rookie quarterback rankings. He goes right above Bo Nix. Don't have the highest expectations. So there you go. All right. As far as the Patriots go, I don't think it's going to be a very good season, but I'm excited for the future with Drake May. He'll come in probably halfway through the year and kill it. I think he'll actually do really well. Don't think he'll win Rookie of the Year, though. Just be like, oh, wow, he's going to be good. Not like C.J. Stroud good. It'll be probably a long time so we see a rookie quarterback that good. Just want to state. Okay. AFC North. This is the fun one, right? I have the Ravens winning the division. They go 12-5. Right after them is the Bengals going 11-6. You could flip me either way on this. I don't really want to bet on Lamar getting hurt because that's not fun, especially when I love Lamar. So I'm not going to do that. There you go. So, yeah, I have the Ravens winning, Bengals coming in second. I think both these teams, we're going to come to the playoffs. There's going to be people picking them to win the Super Bowl. What do I think about the Ravens this year? I like Derrick Henry there. I think this is still a good team. I think this team, like I said, is a fringe Super Bowl contender. And I would say the same thing about the Bengals. I just got to see how it goes. Now, the season could start, and either of these teams could just look electric and could win like 13, 14 games. And it'd be like, wow, they're just whipping ass. Like, these guys are crazy good. That could happen. I'm not banking on that. I'm just not. They're not the team in the AFC. You guys know. Look at the picture on the screen. You know which team I'm high on in the AFC. It's not one of these, okay? 3, I have the Browns going 10-7. I completely undersold the Browns last year. I had them going 7-10. I flipped this year, gave them 10-7. My big thing with the Browns. I'm sorry about that. I had to sneeze real quick. If you said bless you, thank you. My big thing with the Browns is I believe the organization's in a weird spot, and I am 100% against Deshaun Watson on all accounts. And even if you're like, oh, well, you got to separate his off-the-field stuff with his play. Okay, I haven't been impressed with his play either. I think if this team is Baker Mayfield, they're a Super Bowl contender, legitimately. I heard some dude the other day say if they had Brock, because around Cleveland, in Northeast Ohio, I heard a guy the other day. So I'm around a bunch of Browns fans, and they're always saying crazy shit. RJ says some of the least crazy shit, so props to him. But I heard one guy say if they had Brock Purdy, they would easily win the Super Bowl. To which I said, I love Brock Purdy, and I'm a massive Brock Purdy defender. But Brock Purdy isn't the same without Kyle Shanahan, and that is a truth. I just wanted to make sure that was abundantly clear to you. But, yeah. Whew, I got a little heated there. Anyways, what do I think about the Browns? I think the defense is still going to be really good. They still have one of, if not the best defensive player in the NFL, Myles Garrett. I love Nick Chubb. I hope when he comes back, he is as good as ever. But I'm not going to predict that because that's a lot of pressure on the guy, and that would be crazy to come back and go back to being the best running back in the NFL. Come on. So, we'll see. I've never heard anything bad about Nick Chubb. All I hear is that he's a great guy, so I hope he comes back and is better than ever. I love you, Nick Chubb. I've been over this. He's my favorite running back in the NFL. But, goodness, what else would I like to say? What really goes on here with the Browns? I think it's going to be a good team. I would be surprised if Deshaun doesn't have something go on, whether it's an injury or something happens, and they end up starting DTR and they lose some games. And I guess the thing to me is they had the out with Joe Flacco. They had the out, and they were like, this works. Yes, we lost to Houston, but I think, we could have rocked with Joe again. It was working. Him and Stefanski worked well together, and they didn't. They kicked him out to make it clear Deshaun's the guy. Okay. If they don't make the playoffs this year, someone's going to have to take the blame. And it ain't going to be Deshaun when all the owners have done and all the management's done is continue to make it abundantly clear to everyone that they believe in Deshaun Watson. So to me, it makes it pretty clear that if the Browns don't make the playoffs this year, they will fire Kevin Stefanski. I know, you're like, what? 2-time head coach, the year winner. I understand that. I think they're doing crazy shit over here in Cleveland. I think they're getting way too excited because the Browns are good, and they can be good consistently. And they know if they're going to win a Super Bowl, it's probably within this 2 to 3 year period. But they don't have the right quarterback. They shipped off Baker. They got in Deshaun Watson, a quarterback who I have grown to just absolutely despise on many accounts. And I don't wish him success. Would I like for the Browns to be good? Yeah, it'd be really fun, but not with Deshaun Watson. On top of that, this is a really tough division. It would be different. Honestly, if they were playing in like the AFC East, I would have a lot more faith in them. And that's not like the AFC East is a bad division. I just think the North is like the best probably right now, like top to bottom. Yeah, top to bottom, yeah. Because after them, I have the Steelers going 9-8. They officially named Russell Wilson as their starter. They're going to win 9 games. I don't see this being the year the Steelers pop off, go crazy. I think, honestly, what would be more interesting for the Steelers at this point would be for them to be really bad. I honestly think it's more intriguing. Obviously, I'm not a Steelers fan. My father is. My sister's boyfriend is. I am not. But I do think it's honestly more intriguing if they're bad. Hear me out. Let's say the Steelers won 5 games. Do you think Tomlin would leave? Or do you think, like, it wouldn't be a firing. It would be like, we're going to part ways, right? Wouldn't it be interesting to see if Tomlin, let's say Tomlin leaves, right? And he goes to the Jaguars, right? And, he has something new, changes things up, right? Would that be interesting? We've all agreed that Mike Tomlin's one of the best coaches in the NFL. Well, now it's like, okay, go prove it. Go somewhere else. See what goes on. And, change a franchise. Because he's got enough pull, he could go into a franchise and say, this is what we're doing, and he could change it up. That could be really interesting. This is me viewing the NFL in the lens that I like to view it, where it's like storylines. And to me, this would be a very intriguing storyline for the character of Mike Tomlin. NFL to me, it's like football Game of Thrones. It's all got characters and storylines, and I think that would be really intriguing. I don't think it's going to happen. I do think the Steelers are too good to be bad, and I think Mike Tomlin is a hell of a coach, and so they'll consistently be good. But I think it would be more interesting if they won 5 games and Tomlin left. Or let's say they're like, no, Tomlin's not leaving, but now we have the 10th pick, right? And they really like Quinn Ewers, or they really like Shedeur Sanders. Wouldn't that be more interesting if the Steelers got Shedeur Sanders, the Steelers got Quinn Ewers? That, to me, could be really cool. But I'm definitely not going to bank on that. Would it be cool if Justin Fields comes in and is really good for them? Yeah, that would be awesome too. But I'm not. As much as I like Justin Fields, I'm not going to predict that. I just don't. There's ideas I have. Then there's takes I have. That's just an idea. I don't believe in it enough for it to be a take. So that's where that Justin Fields thing ends for me. As far as teams making the playoffs in the AFC North, it's just the Ravens and Bengals. Browns will not be making it. Let's go to the AFC West. We all know, as I said before, the hot takes of RJ. I have the Chargers winning the division. They're going 12-5. Chiefs coming after them at 11-6. I don't think I really need to talk more about this since I talked about it in the hot takes section. I do think it's interesting. I was listening to Bill Simmons' podcast, and he was talking. I can't remember who he was talking with, but he pointed out Xavier Worthy might be the most important player in the NFL this season, because if he's like fine, nothing really changes. But if he's like elite, then it's like, holy shit. It's like, wow, the Chiefs are winning the Super Bowl. Like if Andy Reid can take advantage of him, then he could be, they would just be like, what are we going to do to stop them, So I thought that was an interesting take. I think I've said this before on the pod, but I want to reiterate. To me, if there's any team that can work well with the guy who, he's just really fast, it's Andy Reid. Because what Andy Reid is really good at as a coach is honing in on what's the one skill this guy's good at, or what are his 1 or 2 things he can do, and just doing that again and again. It's like, oh, Travis Kelce can't block well? Okay, then he'll just never block. He'll just be a receiver. It's like, oh, Xavier Worthy's fast, but he really can't catch deep balls? Okay, we're only going to run jet touch passes and, like little touch passes, little screens for him, stuff like that. That's what they'll do. He'll figure out how to take advantage of that talent. That's what he's good at. So that's my take. 3 is the Raiders. I think there's some Raiders hype. I hear there's Raiders hype, but I'm not buying it. I really like this team on paper, other than the quarterback position. Nothing against Gardner Minshew, but he is in that weird bridge quarterback spot that Ryan Fitzpatrick was in all those years, where he's too good to be a backup, but he's not really good enough to be your consistent starter. And so if you have him, you're kind of like, we'll see where this goes. And he might win you 1 or 2 more games than you expect, but you're not going to stick with him. And then he'll be off to a different team next year. That's what Minshew's going to do here at the Raiders. 5 wins might not be enough. They do have a lot of talent, but I don't know. I kind of want them to be bad so they can get like Shador or something, because I think that'd be more fun for the Raiders. I would really like the Raiders to be good. I have a good friend of mine who's a Raiders fan. I want the Raiders to be good. They're in Vegas. They have some of the best uniforms in the NFL. If you told me you think the Raiders uniforms are the best in the NFL, I'd be like, okay, that's cool. I mean, there's some days I wake up and I think they are better than the Chargers uniforms. I'm not even going to lie. Their stuff is great. So, it's like a better version of the Saints stuff. They took out the gold, made it silver, and it's better. It's just better. 4 is the Broncos. Oh, my gosh. I don't think this team's any good. I don't really like anybody they have. Cortland Sutton's pretty good for them. But if he went to a good team, it'd just be like, oh, it's Cortland Sutton. The New Jerseys are better, I guess, but they kind of look like XFL uniforms with UFL. And I mean, they're fine. I think they're fine. They just kind of look like a video game from 2005 that couldn't get the NFL rights, and it's like the Mustangs, and that's their jerseys. I don't know. I don't hate them though. It's just out of the recent rebrands, theirs is the weakest. I liked the Texans. The Texans' new stuff is good. Yeah, Broncos. What was it? Was it 2022? 2022, the year that they got Russell Wilson? Broncos country, let's ride. I think it was. That's wow. I predicted them to be in the AFC Championship that year. I had them winning 13 games. That's gross. It's just gross work by me. What was I thinking? Jeepers creepers. Okay. Yeah, Broncos coming in last place. They're going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL. Yeah. And they're in a division that I think has 2 good teams. So the Raiders aren't terrible. I don't like their quarterback situations. That's kind of that. Let's stop talking about the Broncos. That single-handedly drained me of energy. Let's go to the AFC South. Here we go. Number 1 team in the AFC record-wise. I have the Texans winning the AFC South, and like I said, having the best record in the AFC. I'm going to have them going 13-4. I've had some guys say it's a little too high. Stephon Diggs isn't going to mesh with this team well. Here's the thing. Even if they didn't get Stephon Diggs, I would still have him get with this record. My thing with the NFL, this happens for every pro sports team, is people are always like, oh, that's a year too early. You're predicting that a year or two too early, maybe in the future. It always feels like it happens earlier than it happens late. Baseball's the only one where it feels like it happens late, where it's like, oh, the team won the World Series 2 years after I thought. Baseball's the only one that feels that way. Football and basketball, it always seems to happen before. That always seems to happen earlier than you expect, where it's like, whoa, they're here now. You always see those headlines, right? You thought they were coming, but they're here now. All right? To me, that's the Texans. Last year, I predicted the Lions to be in the Super Bowl. People were telling me, maybe in the future. They were 1 game away from being in the Super Bowl. They almost beat the Niners in the NFC Championship and were almost in the Super Bowl. And I was told I was too high on them. It was too early. Well, guess what? I'm doing it again with the Texans. Some people are like, oh, Texans 2 years and be a Super Bowl winning team. Nope, they could win it this year. Actually, I have them winning it this year. Yeah, that's right. My Super Bowl prediction hasn't changed since February. So, and yeah, I predicted them to win the Super Bowl before they even had Stephon Diggs. And Danielle Hunter. They added Danielle Hunter. Goodness. No, this team's going to be insanely good. D'Amico Ryans, So happy he got a head coach position, and he's killed it in Houston. I was CJ Stroud hater last year, heavy. Didn't want the Panthers to take him. Thought it'd be a terrible move. And he was the best rookie quarterback I've ever seen. And, I mean, basically the only reason I didn't take him to win MVP this year is because it feels like the no fun choice. So I went with a different guy who also really isn't the most interesting choice. But it's whatever. I think the NFL has been waiting a little bit here on who's going to be the Mahomes killer, right? It's going to be Lamar. Lamar's really good. He's not the Mahomes killer. Oh, it's going to be Joe B. Nope. No, sorry. Actually, before Joey B, it was Josh Allen. Oh, it's going to be Josh Allen. Josh Allen's really good. He's not the Mahomes killer. It's going to be Joey B. Joey B's really good. Not the Mahomes killer. I think CJ Stroud. I think CJ Stroud is going to be the dude that's going to outplay Mahomes. I never would have thought that when he was in college. I was not high on him in college. Literally, I can remember watching him last year. You can go back and listen to the podcast from last year. It's like every week I'd be like, oh, yeah, and I tuned into the Texans for a little bit, and CJ's doing really good. Just thought that was good for him. And as the year went on, I was like, whoa, this guy's really good. What? And then by halfway through the season, I remember I put it as the thumbnail for the video, and it's him staring at the camera, holding like he ran in for a touchdown, and I was just like, yeah, this guy's like an MVP candidate as a rookie. He's crazy. On the Bill Simmons podcast, they were talking, I was like, has there ever been a quarterback with a higher approval rating? Like, basically no one has anything bad to say about him. Like, fans, coaches, everybody. Like, everybody just thinks this guy's elite. No one's like, oh, well, no. Everybody's like, yeah, this guy's really good. And I agree. He is really good. So, and I like the Cade Stover pick. I think he could eventually be tight end 1 for them. So, I mean, once Dalton Schultz, you don't have to pay Dalton Schultz. You let Dalton Schultz go, and then you start Cade Stover. So, all right. Let's go to the second team in this division, and a team that I also have making the playoffs. That's the Colts. This is a bit of a risky move. I'm not going to lie. I am banking on the idea that Anthony Richardson is really good, but he looked really good last year. He really did. And I think if he plays well, this Colts team can be in the playoffs. And that's where I have them, 11-6, making the playoffs. On paper, this is a really good roster. Defensively, I don't love it, but offensively, I really like strong O-line, great running back. Anthony Richardson's good. Great receivers, like really underrated receivers. I really liked how they added Mitchell. I think he'll be a really good rookie receiver for them. I really like what this team has going on. And, so I'm high on this Colts team. 3 is the Jaguars at 9-8. What is really the move when you're the Jaguars? You're kind of in like a worse version of the Dolphins right now, where it's like you're not really going to get rid of Trevor, but it's like, is Trevor Lawrence ever going to be like MVP and you guys are really good? Probably not. And you look at the division and it's like, okay, the Texans are just going to kick our ass for a long time. Colts might do the same. If Will Levis is good, Titans will be about as good as us. It's like, what are we doing? That's what I would be thinking if I was Jaguars, because I don't know what they're doing. I don't think Trevor Lawrence is bad, but he's not like as good as everybody thought he was going to be. I don't know. Well, this is his 4th year. Yeah, this is his 4th year. It's like bad rookie year. Second year is like, oh, there might be something there. They went to the divisional, lost to the Chiefs. And then last year, it's like, yeah, no, this division's going to be run by CJ Stroud now. Sorry, buddy. So, you don't really know what the move is when you're the Jaguars. I just don't think it'd be very good. I like the receiver they drafted. What's his name? That guy from LSU. Oh, goodness. Brian Thomas Jr. I had to think about it. Christian Kirk's pretty good for them for fantasy purposes. Anyways, I got the Titans coming to last place. I'm going 8-9. I don't think Will Levis is like an incredible quarterback, but I also don't think he's bad. Who knows what will be the franchise guy for them. I think they'll have to decide that based off his play this year. But I think he's good. I'm just not like as high on him as I am some other guys. So there you go. All right, that is it for the AFC. Let's switch it over to the NFC. NFC East. I have the Eagles winning that at 11-6. They're the only team from this division making the playoffs because we got the Cowboys at 8-9, Commanders at 7-10, and the Giants at 3-14. I don't think the Giants are going to be any good. You guys remember a couple years ago, I was pretty high on them with Danny Dimes. Completely come off that. I would be shocked if Danny Dimes is the quarterback next year. Commanders, I think Jaden Daniels is going to be pretty good for them for fantasy purposes. I don't really think he's going to be the best. I already talked about this earlier, so I'm not concerned. Cowboys, I'm not high on at all. Maybe this should have been one of my hot takes that I have them going 8-9, but I don't like any of the moves they made this offseason because they basically made no moves. I think CeeDee Lamb's good, but you guys know I'm never high on Dak Prescott at all, and maybe this is the year they get rid of Mike McCarthy. So Eagles 11-6. This team is good. This team is not a Super Bowl team, though. I would be shocked if they went to the divisional. They'll probably lose in the wild card. But they'll win this division. I mean, they're easily the best team in this division. The Saquon pickup's fine. Like, yeah, he's really good, but it's like I don't feel any real differently about you with Saquon. Sorry, Eagles. NFC North. This division would be a lot more interesting to me if J.J. McCarthy was here because I'm very high on J.J. McCarthy. But because he's not, I have the Vikings going 5-12 and coming in last. You obviously know I have the Lions winning it. I have them going 13-4. I think they're going to absolutely run it this year, be the number one seed in the NFC, and good for them. They deserve it. Got to love those guys. So my guy Dan Gamble, killing it over there in Detroit. The Lions are a Super Bowl, contender this year. If they won the Super Bowl, I would be ecstatic, like absolutely ecstatic. I would be so happy. I think this Lions team is so much fun, and I love them, and I would love for them to win the Super Bowl, but we'll have to see. 2, I have the Packers 11-6. Really, the big thing is they got that new defensive coordinator. If he is good, things could get real interesting real fast for this Packers team. I honestly think this is a really good team. I think Jordan Love could be excellent this year, and I think this Packers team could go very far if this new DC is good. 3 is the Bears at 9-8. I'm not fully buying into the hype. I would like them a lot more if they weren't in a division that had the Packers and Lions in it. But I do think Caleb Williams is going to be good for them. I'm not sure how good. I don't want to overreact because we also hyped up Trevor Lawrence like crazy, and we all remember that. But this Bears team isn't the worst team. I mean, clearly they only had the number 1 pick because of my team. So, and there's that. But obviously it's exciting because they got Keenan Allen and Rome Odunze, and they got a lot of talent there. But I don't think it's going to be like Caleb Williams taking the playoffs as a rookie. I just don't see that happening. Like a CJ Stroud thing. I don't see that happening. NFC West. Number 1, I got the Rams 12-5. I think this team's really good. The only way this team isn't incredible is if I didn't realize how much of a loss Aaron Donald was. That's a real thing that could happen. But I'm not. I think they could fill it in. I really like the Jared Verse pick. I will admit that Aaron Donald is like one of the greatest defense players of all time. So you're definitely not going to be able to replace him. But, I think there's probably a way to fill that hole with like 2 or 3 guys that don't, you're never going to have another Aaron Donald. You're just not. But they could alleviate it, I'm sure. I have a lot of faith in what McVay can do. I have the Niners going 11-6 and coming in second. I think they suffer a little bit of a hangover. Still a very good team, but I don't think they're going to just, take this division easily. 3 is the Cardinals at 10-7. This could be a really fun, frisky team. I like the Marvin Harrison Jr. pick a lot. I'm assuming he's wide receiver 1 for Kyler Murray. That's going to be a really fun duo this year. If I wasn't so high on the Rams, I'd probably be higher on the Cardinals, but I think the Rams, I just like what they have more, and we've literally seen that team win a Super Bowl. I think Matthew Stafford still's got some left in the tank, and it'll be interesting to see. Next week's podcast will probably be pretty short because it's mostly just going to be primetime picks. That's going to be most of it. Like maybe, honestly, I'll have more to talk about if Colorado loses tonight. So hopefully we win. I mean, hopefully we win. I don't want to have to talk about Colorado losing, but I will admit the podcast next week will be longer if I have stuff to say about Colorado. But I didn't even think about that. But yeah, next week's pod probably will be more short just because we're covering all the predictions this week. Whereas in the past, I've done the predictions and then the primetime pick. But yeah, I'm not doing the primetime picks this week. I want to do a podcast next week and do primetime picks. So it'll be probably short, like 15 minutes. Just letting you know. But I don't know if I have the Rams winning that first game of the year against the Lions. But Cardinals, I have a 10-7, and then I have Seahawks at 6-11. There are some people very high on the Seahawks. I am not some people. I don't really have anything else to say. I don't think it's a bad team. I don't think it's a great team. I think they're in a tough division. That's why I only have them winning 6 games. That's pretty much all I have to say. Yeah. NFC South. I have. Oh, okay. Well, I went over this in my hot takes. I have the Panthers winning this, 11-6. You gotta let me have this. I know. Is this me reaching for the last grasp of hope? Yes. Is this me trying to justify a trade that resulted in Caleb Williams going to the Chicago Bears? Yes. Would I rather have Caleb Williams instead of Bryce Young? No. I wouldn't. I don't know. I don't really want to beat the team with the Caleb Williams experience. I don't really dislike Caleb Williams. I really like Bryce. I think Bryce just seems to be a really nice guy, and I would love to see him be successful. Nothing against Caleb Williams. He's just not really my style. I don't know. And it's not the painted nails for me. I don't care about that. That doesn't bother me. It's more so like the lock screen that says he wants to win 8 Super Bowls and, he wanted to be back-to-back Heisman and number 1 pick. And I get having goals in life, but also I'm like, okay, dude, chill out. I don't know. No, the painted nails is not what turns me off about Caleb Williams. It's the fact that he claimed that he should get ownership of the team that he goes to and stuff like that. And it's like, I don't know. His agent has a little too much fun, and I don't really enjoy that. I'm happier with Bryce, and I would love for Bryce to be the Panthers franchise quarterback. I'll be wearing my shirt ski of him every Sunday, and I really hope we get it done. We're the only team with no primetime NFL games this year. He looked really good in that preseason game against the Bills, but I never put much emphasis on preseason. I really hope he's good. I really hope we can win the division. Because the thing is, for me, it's like really the only good team in this division in my mind is the Falcons. I don't see the Bucs having as good of a year as they did last year. I just don't think I can replicate it, as much as I love Baker. So I have the Falcons going 10-7, coming in second. That is not good enough for the playoffs. 3, I have the Buccaneers going 9-8, and then I have the Saints at 4 with a 6-12 record. Not a lot of 1 or 2 win records this year. I have a lot of 5, 4, 3. 3 is the worst I have with the Giants. But yeah, Buccaneers 9-8. Here's the thing: is to me, the Falcons are the obvious pick to win this division. I really like getting Kirko there. I think it's a good team. I really do. It's just because the division seems a little bit open. I want to take advantage and believe in the Panthers. So let's go to my 2024 NFL awards. Coming in with the MVP, I have Jordan Love. This isn't exactly a crazy take. Realistically, your MVP picks this year you're seeing a lot are C.J. Stroud, obviously, Joe Burrow, Jordan Love. You might get an Aaron Rodgers thrown in there. Mahomes is, a Lamar, obviously, but there's a Herbert argument. I'm not going to go for it. I will admit, if the Chargers aren't good this year and Herbert isn't good, I'm going to have to come off the idea that he is on the level of Joe Burrow. I'm going to have to put him a tier below. It's just the truth. Just accepting that. So I have Jordan Love winning MVP. I think his Packers team could be really good this year, and you're going to see that in my playoff predictions. Offensive Player of the Year, I have Garrett Wilson. I said that earlier. Really think he's going to excel with Aaron Rodgers. Defensive Player of the Year, I have Aiden Hutchinson. He's really been really good the last 2 years. I think he'll be good once again and be recognized, especially with that team having a 13-4 record. Offensive Rookie of the Year, Marvin Harrison Jr. I think there'll be Caleb Williams conversations, but Marv being the number one receiver on a team that's 10-7, yeah, he'll get it. Defensive Rookie of the Year, I have Jared Verse. I said this Rams team is really good. I think he'll play quite well. I think Sean McVay is going to take advantage of him. Comeback Player of the Year, Bryce Young, coming back from a atrocious rookie season. Proving everybody wrong. And then Coach of the Year would be Dave Canales. If we win the division, Dave Canales has to be Coach of the Year for the turnaround because that's just crazy. Like a crazy turnaround. When you think, we went from Frank Reich last year and then eventually firing him mid-season. Like, just crazy stuff went on last year, and I don't know. It's nuts. Panthers they're just such a mess, and Tepper's so bad. It's like I probably shouldn't really believe. I probably shouldn't believe in them. But I'm gonna. All right, let's get in the playoffs. Since we did AFC first for regular season, we'll do NFC first for playoffs. In the wild card, we have the number 2 Rams versus the number 7 Cardinals. I have the Rams beating the Cardinals. Then I have the number 6 Niners versus the number 3. Sorry, the number 3 Eagles versus the number 6 Niners. That's the way I should say that. I do have the Niners upsetting the Eagles here. And then I have the number 4 Panthers versus number 5 Packers. Packers are going to handle the Panthers here. I'm not going to lie. I'm just happy the Panthers made the playoffs. If this actually happened, I'd probably take the Panthers far just because I'd get way too excited. Go to the divisional. Number 1 Lions versus number 6 Niners. Rematch last year's NFC Championship, except this time it's in the divisional. I got the Lions beating them. Then I got the number 2 Rams versus the number 5 Packers. I got the Packers beating the Rams, propelling them to the NFC Championship with them facing on the Lions. Where I have the Packers upsetting the Lions. I have the Packers going to the Super Bowl. Texans-Lions would actually be a Super Bowl I prefer. I really would. But I think this Packers team's got something to it. I just really do. Last year they looked really good against Dallas, and so that's why I'm taking them. Let's go over the AFC. In the wild card, I have the Ravens versus the Colts. Ravens the 2 seed, Colts 7 seed. I have the Ravens defeating the Colts. Then I have the number 3 Chargers versus number 6 Chiefs. An AFC West hometown throwdown here in the wild card. I have the Chiefs beating the Chargers. Jim Harbaugh, it would be insane if your first year you beat the Chiefs in the playoffs. That would be pretty wild, but I'm not going to pick that. Then I got the number 3 Jets versus the number 5 Bengals, and I'm going to take the Bengals to upset the Jets here. I know I said I was high on the Jets, but when the playoffs come, I expect the Bengals to outplay them. So that gives me divisional matchups of the number 1 Texans versus the number 6 Chiefs, the number 2 Ravens versus the number 5 Bengals. I take the Texans over the Chiefs, C.J. Stroud being the Mahomes killer, as I said earlier, and the Bengals defeating the Ravens. A fun AFC North matchup in the divisional. That brings us to the AFC Championship, the Texans versus the Bengals, to which I have the Texans defeating the Bengals. Fun fact, that would mean the alternative Super Bowl, as in the losers of the AFC Championship and the NFC Championship. And my predictions, I have the Lions losing the NFC Championship and the Bengals losing the AFC Championship. That's what I predicted as a Super Bowl last year, was the Bengals beating the Lions. So I just think it's funny that now this year I have them losing in their conference championships. I don't know. Sports Illustrated predicting the Lions over the Bengals. So then there's that. Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans. It's Texans versus Packers. I have the Texans winning. C.J. Stroud being Super Bowl MVP, winning his first Super Bowl as his second year in the NFL. And that would be crazy. I know this is wild, but I enjoy it. I feel like it's not fun to just say Chiefs, Niners, and move on. It's more fun to have some fun. And so I'm having some fun and predicting Texans over Packers. What would be the Super Bowl I would love to see within reason? Texans-Lions. That would be awesome. Or Ravens-Lions or Bengals-Lions. Honestly, Bengals-Lions I think would be the most fun. Bengals-Lions, yeah. But I can really see Texans-Packers happening. I think it's just weird enough, and it would be awesome. So awesome. So easy to market, too. 2 young quarterbacks, 1 historic franchise, 1 franchise that doesn't have a Super Bowl to their name. It writes itself. As far as the top Super Bowl I'd like to see, that would have to be Panthers-Texans. That would be awesome. But that is not going to happen. So why would I even do that to myself? Why did I even say that? Anyways, Colorado plays tonight. Going to have to watch up. Thank you for listening to this. If you just listened for RJ and his hot takes, I appreciate it. I'm glad Ronald could bring you over. But I will see you all next week. We'll be doing primetime picks. If I have anything else I want to talk about, we'll do it there. But next week's episode will be very short, just primetime picks, because I'm not going to have a ton to talk about. And then, obviously, we'll go back into the swing of things with weekly podcasts and discussing everything that happened in the past week, all the talking points, and then me doing primetime picks every week. So that'll be fun. So, yeah, we're now back on the best part of the year where I do weekly episodes all the way until... When do I stop doing weekly episodes? Is it the NFL draft? Yeah, the NFL draft. So we're back on it, back on the saddle. All right, this has been episode 101 of the Sword Sports Podcast. Thank you for checking it out. And, okay, I think that's it. All right. All right, I appreciate you. Enjoy the season. It's going to be excellent. And enjoy your fantasy football if you're playing. That's always a good time. I got Garrett Wilson. Shocking, I know. I like Josh Palmer and Gus Edwards as sleepers. I know they're both Chargers, but I think they'll be good. So there's my picks. Matt Stafford, you can get him late in a lot of drafts. He could be a good starter. All right, I'm heading out. See you all.